I think that is going to be the most profound conclusion to the investigation of the Stalin Archive. And I've talked with several scholars already who agree completely. When they examine these manuscripts and they see, first of all, A, he truly believed in this. I mean, not that somebody who believes in something isn't able to become pragmatic and opportunistic and set his belief system. These were his beliefs. He wasn't secretly a capitalist who just made a show of all of this. He believed in it. 2, he was not a madman. He was not a paranoid. I would say he was more paranoid, no less, perhaps, than Richard Nixon or many other people who've been in government, who function in a normal way in a normal society. He was not a criminal in the sense that he was a personal criminal. He didn't shoot people, he didn't hit people, he didn't himself torture people, not like Ivan the Terrible, who threw people out the window, who killed his own son. People try to blame Stalin for the suicide of his wife, but there's no evidence that he shot her. Maybe she died out of despair, but how many wives die how many husbands commit suicide? He was a father. He had 3 children. His daughter brought home a Jewish husband. He didn't like Jews, but he tolerated a Jew. Eventually, he got her to divorce the man, but I could name countless instances of exactly the same thing going on here in the United States in the 1930s, in which a wealthy non-Jewish girl brings home a Jewish husband to the horror of the family. It's no different. No, we can't understand Stalin in this way. We want to understand it that way because we'd love to think of this as a great perversion of history. It is not a perversion of history. That's the whole point. And what you said is that he simply took the logic to the ultimate because he was fearless and because he truly was Nietzschean man. He truly was a man who did not believe that he was constrained by any moral law, because all moral laws were relative.
You bring to mind something that is in your book, his famous dictum, no man, no problem.
No man, no problem.
No man, no problem.
Yeah.
But he was doing it, if I understand correctly, whatever he did it because, in his mind, a logical requirement for the growth of the great socialist Russian state.
Well, he was, yes, and to that extent you could say he was blind. He was blind he didn't analyze them correctly, and he was blind to pragmatic solutions to the problem, which would from time to time be brought to him, and the people who brought them to him would normally be shot.
That will discourage you from bringing problems to him.
Yeah. But let me ask you this. Wasn't the FBI shown a document by some FBI agent in Scottsdale, Arizona, about the Arabs who were going to fly? And how did it happen that there were no Russians taken? How did that happen? Oh, come on! This is part of a normal society. This isn't a particular deviation on the part of what was going on there. What was going on there was the institution of an ideology that guided, that became the driving engine of that society, without which that society couldn't function. That's what Stalin understood. And therefore, he could not tolerate any solutions to problems that in any way endangered the credibility of that ideology.
This excerpt is brought to you by the Massachusetts School of Law, the leader of reform in legal education and a leader in multimedia education for the public. To view the full interview and for a full listing of MSL's programs, log on to mslaw.edu.